This time on Film Ranker, we are looking at Final Destination. 5 movies filled with disasters, death, and occasionally helpful visions. It's a horror series with no recurring star, no tangible bad guy, and the cookie cutterest of plots, and it is terrific fun. So let's count them down from worst to best. Number 5. Final Destination 2. One of the selling points of the franchise is how slick it always looks, but that's not entirely true here. This one looks a bit like a low-budget made-for-TV entry of the series. The cast is also a pretty big step backwards from the first, and the deaths are kind of a mixed bag, with the fence being a highlight. The return of Ali Larter's welcome, and the opening car crash is pretty cool, but the whole thing is a bit weirdly awkward, especially the new life beats the curse loophole that luckily is never mentioned again in the series. Number 4. Final Destination 4. Pretty much every horror series has a 3D entry, and that movie is rarely a high point, especially when you see it at home where the effects go from kinda cool to things cheesily moving towards the screen. That said, Part 4 is not as bad as a lot of 3D horror. For the most part, it looks pretty slick, except for the visions, which look terrible, and the ending, which is the worst of the series. But the NASCAR opener is pretty good, and the ensuing deaths are hilariously elaborate. This one has the least amount of trying to figure out death's design, as the characters are either trying not to die from the constant dangers, or weirdly unconcerned during the brief breaks between those constant dangers. It's just a bunch of pretty dummies getting squashed by stuff, and it is mindless fun. Number 3. Final Destination. When it was first released, this movie was great. Obviously, great enough to set up the whole franchise, but in retrospect, it is a little bit tame. The plane explosion at the beginning is pretty quick and simple, and most of the following deaths are missing the elaborate fake-outs that the series would become known for. This one relies more on surprise kills and building the mythology. The cast is the best of the bunch by far, though, with Ali Larter, Devon Sawa, and Jack from Dawson's Creek. It is especially fun to see Seann William Scott play the nerd of the group. It is necessary viewing for 90s horror fans and sets up a heck of a cool recipe for the series. Number 2. Final Destination 5. The initial disaster sequence on the bridge is maybe a bit simple in theory, but it does look good in practice, and the deaths are solid, especially the car to the face. The deaths stay interesting for the whole film, in fact, with a good mix of surprises and elaborate mousetraps. On the downside, it does kind of feel like everyone is just making up new rules as they go, even more so than usual. But the new take a life, get a life twist does lead to some fun stuff, and the ending is amazing. Everything tied together again in a nice, tidy bow. Number 1. Final Destination 3. This one was a huge boost in quality after those first 2 films, as director James Wan gets all he can out of the budget, with solid effects from top to bottom, including a roller coaster opener that might be the best opening disaster of the franchise. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a fantastic lead in what is a pretty solid cast overall, and the photo clues are a fun twist, even if they are not even a little bit helpful until after it's too late for them to be helpful. Death really does not take a break in this movie. The danger is relentless and interesting from beginning to end. And speaking of the ending, this ending was a legit surprise and a series high point. And that is it. Much like the lives of every character in this series, our video has come to an end. Please like or subscribe or Tell me what your faves are in the comments. Honestly, numbers 1 to 4 are all pretty close to me, so I'd love to hear how you have them rated. And hopefully, I will see you all next time.